Now this is buffer time. Respect.
What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
Hello there again, Buffer Timers. We're at the start of a brand new season of Lower Decks. Unfortunately, it's last. Before we get into talking about the first 2 episodes that dropped on us this week, let's go around clockwise and introduce ourselves. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek, Worst of Trek.
Hi, I'm Dallin. I'm craving Oreos.
Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I host a YouTube channel called I Love Bad Star Trek.
I'm Ren of Ren Rants.
I'm Josh from Windgrace Project, and I am the 3rd Vorik-Torik twin. Triplet, I guess.
Yeah, I had this ready because Vorik-Torik, the actor, son of the now late, great Jerry Taylor, a producer on TNG, one of the co-creators of Voyager. We lost a good one this week. So this one is for you, Jerry. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say about Jerry before we move on into the actual show?
Thank you for Voyager. I loved it. I will always love it.
Thank you for being a boss in an industry that likes nothing that comes with a vagina.
So I guess before we even get into really specific questions about each show, this final battle here, pretty epic. I love the things they've added. Is there anything else from Star Trek canon that you feel like needs to be in this battle scene?
Nagilum?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Just peeking
So,
out.
what? Let's start with what we have. Like, I guess, like the Tholian web, crystalline entity. I see a Romulan ship.
There's a Borg cube.
Yeah, is that Planet Eater?
Oh.
Nope, that's the whale probe from Star Trek 4
Oh, okay. And then we got like the green hands.
of Apollo.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the big V'ger field.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird addition, and I'm still wondering if, like, are they here to support the Borg, since maybe they were the ones that created V'ger?
Could be. Oh, yeah, there's Pac-Led ships, too.
Yep,
I don't
also
think we mentioned
Pac-Leds and Klingons here.
I would personally like to see a Ferengi ship just take off. Just,
Yeah, the Ferengi, and I like it. The idea of the planet killer. I think that would be a really fun addition.
That
this.
would be.
Maybe the giant amoeba.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking the Corbinite maneuver, the Facerius, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Landrew.
Apologizes.
like maybe the Shrike, because scale wise it would.
Oh, sick.
I mean, I always want to say Groppler Zorn, but I don't know how he'd fit in there.
Just the floating disembodied head of Groppler Zorn. We've done that in Lower Decks before. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
Breen is missing.
Oh, the Breen?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant Brain from like Spock's Brain.
No,
I was about to say end Brain. What is Brain?
I was just looking at like other general Star Trek villains, and I didn't see the Breen in there.
I would like to see a lot more Breen, so I agree.
No, I think we got enough to satiate me for a while in the end of Discovery there.
Do you think they were planning each of these 3 things for like the next couple of seasons out to 7 and they threw them all in here because it's the end? Or did they just ramp it up?
That's a good question.
So I feel like that would make it an even 7 if they introduced each one and then like ended it with V'ger or something.
We'll talk about this more, but I do feel like there's some elements this season that were like, well, these are jokes we've had on the drawing board for a really long time, and we couldn't quite find where to connect them, so we're gonna pepper them in here. But we'll get to that. So I guess before we jump into the actual Dos Cerritos episode, this is not the first time that Paramount has just committed this wonderful faux pas of not titling their stuff right, because I'm pretty sure the Dos Cerrito is the new special at Taco Bell.
Ooh.
I had no idea.
I'll take mine without sour cream.
It's also like it's named after a city, like California class
Right.
ships are all named after cities. So it's like this is an easy typo to fix.
See, I fell for it fully. I thought it was like a joke or a clever reference or something that I didn't get. Nope.
No, that's just Paramount messing up their own stuff. All right, so getting into the episode, the first thing I want to know is how does meeting their alternate selves change our main characters?
Boimler seems the most impacted so far.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say he's already like developed a complex.
Hi, Norman.
Rutherford maybe took it a little personally to not fall apart over Tendi.
It felt to me a little Wizard of Oz-esque, except that they got to see what they don't want. Like Rutherford being afraid of losing his humanity, and Mariner being afraid of having to become this dictatorial captain, and Boimler having responsibility and coolness.
Well, Boimler got to see probably the best version of himself.
Yeah.
Confident, relaxed Boimler.
Coming off the heels of bold Boimler. That's it's a nice change.
Ta'an is the same. That cracked me up. That Ta'an is exactly the same.
Yeah, at
And
first
then didn't get along with herself.
Yeah, before I had seen more of the episode, I had like paused here and taken a note like, hey, are they going to have a foursome? Because I feel like that's what these two couples would do. But then they get into a like fight like cats do at a first meeting, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this makes sense.
And I'm digging the braid.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love long hair Shats. That's a good look for him.
I agree. I dig it a lot.
Does he also have an earring, or is that?
It's on the other side, I think.
Interesting.
In theory.
Interesting. So, like the Bajorans in this dimension, put it on the other side for some reason.
Yeah, that's.
Oh no, I think he's just facing the
Right,
other
he's
way.
just-
They're like mirroring each other.
Gotcha.
I don't think I have another shot of him here either.
I am curious, like how this episode sort of like sits in context with other episodes where there's like mirror versions of other characters, as like this mirrorverse, or like how does this compare to like yesterday's Enterprise?
This one's supposedly much more minor changes. But a couple things had me questioning if it was in the same period of time also. Specifically that comment about Tendi saying that she was gone for the pirates and never came back, which made it seem like she was gone a lot more than she had been in the current time frame, but I might have been reading too much into that.
On the other hand, they talk about Naomi Wildman still being only 10.
Yeah,
Well, that's actually about right. This is only a few years after Voyager got back. So,
well, this whole series is supposed to be like what, 1 year in the universe or something?
It's not clear whether it has moved forward. It clearly some time has passed, but I don't know if it's a year a season like it was before. Because if that were true, we'd already have had the Romulan supernova, which hasn't been touched on.
Oh yeah.
Also, like Beckett Mariner sees what one type of leadership can result in, leading by fear. I don't know if Beckett ever saw herself in danger of doing that. So I'm curious as to what purpose it would serve for her to see this leadership style turn out badly. Like, I think she would know not to treat people that way. And I don't think she was afraid of treating people that way by way of promotion. Like, her issue with promotion was more like, I want to be just kind of like crazy and carefree, not have any responsibilities, not like, oh no, I'm going to be authoritative.
Yeah, I admit I didn't love the Becky Mariner storyline either. It didn't make a lot of sense. Especially her whole like switching places with Mariner deal, because it's like they even pointed out in the universe, they're like, you could just stop being an asshole if you wanted to. Like, there you don't
You could just
have
step
to switch
down.
places
You don't
to
have
do
to be
that.
captain.
Yeah, no one's forcing you, Becky. Just stop. You can just stop it. But like it
Oh
just
my
was
God, Becky.
a little flimsy.
It does kind of speak
Look at those hips.
it does kind of speak to the values of this dimension in Starfleet if she's allowed to lead that way, and no one in Starfleet has an issue with it.
Yeah, her
Like,
changes clearly stretched back the
right.
furthest, seemingly. Her and then her mom, Freeman, apparently never got her act together. She never progressed from season 1, apparently, in this universe.
I have to say, I think the line of the episode for me was, and I can't quote it directly, but be careful. They're going to throw you in the brig. They're going to throw everyone in the brig? No, you don't understand. She made all the other rooms into brig.
They're almost all
Our ship
brigs.
was mostly Brig.
Yes. That just made me
Go
laugh.
to my
That's a good
favorite
joke.
place.
I'd really like to know what Captain Freeman did to get sent to Starbase 80. What was the last straw?
Yeah, which decision did she make differently that got her there?
Guess we have to
Maybe
rewatch the entire series.
Yeah.
It's the only
So-
answer.
On the Tendi side of things, do you think we'll see Tendi's crew doing non-pirate-like things before the end of the season?
I hope so. That'd be really cute.
I feel
I'd like a
it's-
dance recital.
Oh,
I feel like it's going one of those things that, like, in the clutch moment, it'll be like, dun, 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 oh, look, it's her old crew.
Or the Great Orion Baking Show or something.
Yeah.
oh my God! Yes.
I do
All of these cakes smell so alluring.
I do like that she gives them the space to sort of explore their identity outside of being pirates. So I do think, if they're going to remain with her as crew, that they would get more opportunities to explore those other facets of their identity.
It does seem in line with things Star Trek does, like it'll overhaul them by the end, like they kind of overhauled the Ferengi by the end of DS9. Kind of give them a new perspective on their species or their culture, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think maybe especially where like Tendi's family isn't officially rich anymore, even though they get their money back by the end of Shades of Green. Like maybe these girls were released as like part of the family's crew or whatever, and then we'll see them before the end, just doing the things that they wanted to do.
I also like the idea that Orion has like changed so much over time, because we get the like the old medical ship, and it kind of reminds me of the energy and those old scientists.
I think it's pronounced Orion.
Where they have to cozy up to the Orion scientists. And I think it's kind of interesting, like the idea that it's sort of cyclical and Orion might be coming back around, like slowly moving away from their pirate ways again.
Were they, when we saw them in the future in Discovery, I know they changed to the Emerald Chain, but was there any like official Federation version of them or was it all just that group?
I'm not
They
sure
had
what you
s-
mean because I mean clearly there was at least a few fit Orion families that were like part of Federation because there was that kid in the academy.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think they had
did we see the
mentioned
government of them, I
sometime
guess?
that Osira didn't rule over all of the Orions.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
saying
and
they're like a group of the Orions, but not the entirety of them.
right, and it was like the Orion Andorian
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were together in it.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we didn't see very many Andorians other than Rin after that.
Hey there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, Norman. Robbie? Hello, Robbie.
I did
So,
like the way he kept like specifically referring to King Billups as King Billups. That was quite cute.
yeah, I also find it weird that if Billups was made king, that he would remain the chief engineer.
I guess
Um,
kings can do what they want.
well, that's surely a thing. So do you think
Like
he's still like,
Deanna's royal family too. You know, I think you can wear a few hats. Like Tendi was queen of the northern constellations or the winter
the winter
constellations too.
constellations?
Yeah. So it's like you and Worf was also, you know, part like to have dual roles isn't unheard of.
So do you think that Billups maybe still hates the role of king? He just accepted it because he had to, but he's like just begrudgingly like, all right, I guess I'll wear the stupid crap and let him call me king, but I'm gonna keep my job.
Probably,
It's
yeah, couldn't get out of it.
it's probably completely in my head, but to me, King Billups sounded more like just a little bit more cocky, a little bit more like something to delineate, like, hey, he lost his virginity and he didn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, are the mirror uniforms remind anybody else of the Monster Maroons?
Yeah, they are just that extra shade darker.
Yeah.
I like the different hairstyles. They're fun.
Mm-hmm. And if they release toys, then they can double the action.
Yeah.
I want the Billups from the next episode, but we'll get to that.
Oh my god, I did love when they were like arguing over who is the prime universe. That was pretty funny.
The bad universe
Yeah.
Cerritos. I like that. That's pretty funny.
How dare you?
Would Rutherford remove his own humanity if Tendi decided to not return?
I don't think it would be like a purposeful decision. I could just see him kind of taking on as a hobby. Like just fiddling with himself. Especially since he didn't have Tendi to fiddle on things like the shuttlecraft. And I could see, like, especially if he's going to make himself exist in space. Like, I could see him wanting to do that.
So like modifying himself so that like he can do things physically that the other Rutherford can't, but maybe not like leave his emotions intact.
Exactly. Like, I'll trade one for the other.
Yeah. Because like I think like Rutherford is more complex and interesting than simply being Tendy's friend and like forfeiting all of his humanity for one missing person. Like it's sad, yes, he wants to, you know, reunite with his friends, but I don't think that's like the be all end all of life for him. I think it's kind of sad for, you know, mirror Rutherford to have gone down that road. Or did Rutherford confirm with the robot that that's why he turned it off?
Yeah, they've said that. That he got rid of the memories of Tendi when she left.
But like I said, I feel like these, I guess we're calling them the mirror, four, all met versions of themselves that they kind of almost culminated their fears. Like that, Mariner being a captain and Boimler not ever fitting in ever. Like they, sort of meet their shadow, for lack of a better term.
That could be true the other way too. Like for Boimler to meet Prime Boimler and see that he's like this anxiety riddled person who's like terrified of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have almost enough people to play Hollywood Squares.
Ooh. I'm not certain we won't be seeing some of these characters again down the line.
Kind of seems like it, yeah. It almost seems like they're trying to set it up with how these anomalies have been happening regularly, that it's going to kind of be a running thing throughout this season. Everybody seems to be saying that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it's like, oh, this is the third one this month that we're closing, and we already know that there's going to be an episode at some point where we get multiple Harry Kims, so yeah, I guess there's going to be something more to this.
More Sperries.
The Kim multiverse of madness.
And also Section 31 Boimler. Like, where the hell did he go?
Oh yeah, he was recruited.
I forgot about him. It's been a couple seasons now, so it's like, yeah, what they set it up. You can't leave us hanging on that. And somebody's going to climb the Black Mountain before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh.
Do you think the pad that Boimler took from the alt universe will come into play later in the season too?
Absolutely.
100%.
It feels like Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov did not even get to use it.
Boimler effect.
Yeah,
Like-
that cracked me up.
Star Trek likes to sort of put one's life direction being contingent on a single decision, being like what drives someone to be one way or the other. So I'm thinking that like this version of Boimler may have a really dark secret that we don't know about. I'm curious to see what it is, but it's like a lot of things to tie up in the last season to sort of like have more loose ends right at the beginning. I don't know.
And Robbie's all like, the circle gets the square.
I'm the secret square.
I think the real question, though, is does alternate Boimler play with a regular universe Scott Bakula action figure?
Very good.
That's thinking. That is some deep cuts right there.
Just because this Nacelle is putting out the actual one. I want it so much.
I wonder what all our faves
Yeah,
are
me
like
too.
in that universe.
I don't even have this as a question, but now I want to ask you all, what would you do if you met a version of yourself that's 1% different?
If they were worse than me, I'd be a little smug, and if they were better than me, I would immediately develop a complex like Boimler.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd like myself whether I was negative or positive 1% on that.
Yeah.
I'd have sex with them. Sorry.
Yay.
I was going to ask
Sorry,
you a little
that's
while
what
ago
I
when you
would
said
do.
something about fiddling with yourself. How does one fiddle with themselves?
Exactly.
Oh, you just get an alternate version of yourself and fiddle.
Do you think both ransoms had churros? And they had a foursome?
Easily. Oh God, yeah. That was a cut. That was a deleted scene.
Oh, okay.
We better be getting that on the Blu-ray.
Release the churro cut.
Oh my god!
Yeah, the ransom probably had to make his out of frittatas or something.
I don't know. I think
Oh,
like
the
having,
fajita. A Liviita.
I guess it depends on how well we get along because I would like to commit crimes.
Ooh, I love that. I'm sorry, officer. I didn't rob that bank and burn down Jeff Bezos' house. I was at home, obviously. Look at this picture of me at home.
Here's me holding a newspaper. Yep.
I'm sorry, how did you kill yourself for the insurance money?
As long as they're
All
not clones, because then Pulaski will shoot them to death.
That's true. Okay, I think
I just love that scene. It's like my only like pleasantly remembered scene from Up the Long Ladder when they're all like in that room with the Mariposans and Riker's like clones. They all just like repeat
clones.
words with no emotion. Clones.
Clones don't count.
So the only other question I had on this episode is, how does the premiere compare with your expectations for it?
It's fine. I guess I thought it was going to be a little more, I don't know.
Grandiose?
Yeah, maybe also a little bit more nostalgic. I feel like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the premiere for like the last season of a show, but it's not bad. It's like it's not an episode I would skip on rewatch or anything. It's fine.
Not at all.
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it feels like Chinese food to me. Like no matter where you get it, it does the job. Maybe a little better over here, better over there, but you know. And I think I wanted more of a sense of urgency. And so the first episode goes with that we're going to stand right here. And I kind of wanted just let's go, let's do something. So
Agreed.
That's
Pretty
so I
cool.
liked it. It was fine. I wish it had a little bit more oomph to it.
I would just like to throw this out there. No Cations were harmed in the making of this Chinese food.
It was pretty milquetoast to me too. I just thought like, you know, it's a cartoon. You have endless possibilities. Why just sort of repeat a premise that's been done to death in Star Trek? And like even DS9 did something like this with that silly ass wish fulfillment episode. Like just do something new, kind of fresh. Like you have no holds barred. It's an animated thing. Like TAS did wild and weird shit. Like why not here too?
I will say they did it in the most Lower Decks way possible. A crew that is 1% different than yourself. It's not like the complete alternate different person that's completely juxtaposed from your Prime Universe self.
Right. Like that's like funny, but the joke doesn't need to be dragged out for the whole episode or be central to the whole thing. Like I hear what you're saying, but that's not that interesting.
It was definitely a character episode, like trying to remind us of who our characters were and then give them a jumping off point with their counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get a lot more out of the Orion plot, which we'll get into more here in the next half hour. But
Right.
yeah, it's serviceable. So let's just give it that out of 10 because everything everybody said is pretty much where I'm at. There's nothing I particularly dislike about this, and in my reviews, like I do likes and dislikes, and I had literally 0 dislikes. I just don't have a lot of things that are like, wow, that was amazing.
Right.
So I'm at a 6.5. Go ahead, Ren.
I think I'll give it a 5, just straight down the middle. It was fine. It was like you said, a serviceable episode. It had its moments. It was definitely like funny and lovable, like Lower Decks always is. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more, especially because we only get like the 10 episode seasons. I feel like they should really be trying to make every episode count for this last season, and it's kind of just meh.
Yeah, I think if this were like season 3 of 7, this would be an okay premiere. But it being the last season, I really just wish they would jack the energy up. And having seen the next episode, I know they get closer to it. I'm going to have to give it, I guess, a 5.5 because I can't just decide between 5 and 6.
I give it about the same 5.5. I don't see anything egregiously offensive or just like unfunny or unentertaining or anything. But I didn't feel like, what like Windgrace said, it is a character driven episode, but like the character development actually, to me, doesn't really feel super necessary. And the only load bearing thing that happens is that Boimler steals that pad, which may come up later. And I don't know if I'm still so invested in Boimler overcoming his insecurity that way. I feel like they've had 5 seasons to address that, and they just to have all the answers in a pad just seems like kind of boring. But I do like the jokes. I think, it's cute. 5.5.
I think I liked it probably a little bit more because I'd go around a 7. And the thing we haven't really discussed, which we're going to get to in the next one, that probably bumps it up a little for me is the Blue Orions. Being more than just a joke, being an actual included presence in the show. I thought that was a nice Lower Decks touch that was more than your average. But aside from that, I probably could have done without the whole Mariner trying to swap places part. That was a little extraneous, I think.
Did you say 7?
Yes.
I think a solid 5. It's perfectly good middle of the road episode. I don't love it. I don't hate it. As to what you were saying about Mariner, like maybe if Becky had pulled that off and they had needed a few episodes to figure it out, it might have brought it up a little bit. And also, I don't know how I feel about like Tendi. Like, I like the Blue Orions, obviously, because who doesn't like the Blue Orions? But the whole idea of Tendi like trying to show her fellow Orions a better way and getting punished for it does also bring it down a little bit for me. I might be tainted a little bit because I happened to be thinking about this while I was out and about before I got here. I think it was because I was thinking about the video you just put up, Dustin, about the best and worst cave moments and how awesome it was that like your Lower Decks episode made the top spot.
Crushed it.
Thinking how like there are some episodes here in the modern era that would definitely rank, for me at least, somewhere in the top 100 all time, probably top 25 if given the choice. So might be a little biased by that, but anyway, yeah, just straight 5.
Wow, I thought I was going to be the low man on the totem pole with the 6.5 on this, and I'm like the biggest cheerleader somehow. Rah,
Don't
rah.
forget Robbie put in a 7.
I didn't see Robbie 7.
And Windgrace did too.
Yep.
No, I see Windgrace.
I do like the revelation of Becky Mariner and her name. I like that it wasn't some huge over the top, secret mystery wedding or something, which would have been cool still, but
Still 6.
it was just her middle name.
She's Beckett Mariner Freeman.
Yep.
But that has something to do with like Mike McMahon's sister or something, doesn't it? I think I heard
Not
that.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe.
Name or something.
I am glad the charmingly insubordinate line was from her and not from our Mariner, because now we don't have to worry about a big old step backwards for her.
Mm-hmm. That's something Star Trek's been good with lately, putting something in the trailer that gets everyone upset and then it not going the way everyone assumes.
Just one last little comment. Did anybody think that that Beckett carrying the riding crop around was anything like Captain Styles from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, and whatever the hell it was that cane thing that he had was carrying around?
It made me think of Patton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
General Patton, yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that an iPod?
Is that?
It's a selfie stick. I
was gonna
really
say.
don't know. It's got a hypo spray on the end or something.
Wow.
I thought she was like trying to be a parody of Jellicoe or something, but
Okay, I
Yeah.
see that.
It's all Briggs.
It's all Briggs.
It's all Briggs.
like the Hot Pocket with
Look.
it's all Briggs.
Ooh,
All right.
we're decapitalizing.
Yeah, let's switch over to the Shades of Green. So, do you think all planets that get Federation membership burn their money in gold?
I hope so.
I mean, I hope they burn the money, but you can still use gold for things.
That's true. It does have practical applications other than being pretty.
Cover Latinum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the latinum?
I think there's a great episode of The Twilight Zone where these robbers steal like an assload of gold, and then they like put
Yes.
themselves into cryo sleep for like 100 years, and when they wake
Oh.
up, they're like, "Oh, I'll trade this gold for water," and they're like dying in the desert, and like gold can be synthesized then, and it's worth nothing.
Yep.
But hey, we are getting to about a spire of gold being the price of water, so you
Ooh.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gold is incredibly inconsistent in terms of value, but you know what has been consistent in terms of value over the past 30 years, Dustin? Cocaine.
It is a hell of a drug.
Like if we need another substance to back up the dollar. But I just love the idea that like there's just this like shooting dollars out of like t-shirt gun thing going on, and there's just this chaos of like jewelry just strewn everywhere, because like it does make sense they would have to destroy currency so that it no longer holds power, or and people can't use it anymore, sort of like taking currency out of circulation here in America too, where they like take old money and destroy it and stuff. So but like does the value translate exactly? Maybe I'm overthinking this, like when they use the money that that planet got rid of and gave it to the Orions. Like is that a 1-to-1 ratio? Does it hold the same value?
It
think it's-
seems like it's mostly gold bricks and like latinum or something. So I assume it's like a commodity.
Probably
They
the
also have
paper money.
jewels too, so yeah.
It's like transferring it from one market to another. I mean, it's not necessarily going to have the same value it had on this planet, but it's going to have some value within the wider galactic stage.
Well, at a certain point, probably if they do keep some of the paper money, it'll get value for being like a rare item that doesn't
a
exist
collectible.
anymore. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But like
The Collector's Guild.
I
Right.
forgot to excitedly comment on that side character from the last, the most toys showing up in the start of the.
Oh
first
yes.
It's
That was
prescription.
I like that. Speaking of shameless capitalists,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd actually gone back and looked at the transcript from Most Toys to find something, and that's when I realized that like the whatever sex idol that we see in that they'd actually talked about in the Most Toys. This specific collector was like, "Oh, I just got one," and Kivas Fajo was like, "Yeah, I got 4. Whatever."
so detailed.
They don't miss a beat at Lower Decks, and I love that seamless grabbing onto just little pieces of the Star Trek universe and putting them together.
like the amount of money they were shooting everywhere, it did look like a lot. So maybe there was just so much of it, sort of like post World War I Germany, where you just wallpaper your
Yeah.
house with it.
Yeah.
It's worthless.
They must have been in late stage capitalism to be that enthusiastic about getting rid of it. They're like
Mildly
over the
turned way
capitalist
up, Ren.
brain worms.
I want to know how the breakthrough went. Did some guy just invent the replicator and that was it? Is it like their version of First Contact? They had a Zephram Cochrane who's drunkenly building a replicator somewhere.
Yeah, I wondered that too, whether
And then the board
the
show
Federation
up.
was just giving them this stuff or whether, they had developed it on their own.
Oh, we have moral support.
Right.
I think that's great.
Do you think the whole plot with Mariner and Boimler in this episode, do you think it was a callback for the sake of comparison to the second episode of season 1, Envoys?
Undoubtedly.
I have
There
to
were
imagine.
certain parallels.
They do basically the same thing in the second episode of the season.
But differently this time. I mean, in that one, Mariner's like, no, we got this. We don't need to call the ship. They don't need to help us. And in this one, Boimler's like, yeah, whatever. We'll get this done. We'll figure it out. And no, Mariner's like, no, we're calling the ship.
We got
And that
scared.
That goes back to my question from the last episode, what the takeaway was from their alternate universe selves. And I feel like, we've got 4 seasons of growth, plus just meeting themselves. It seems like they've changed quite a bit just overnight there.
And this time with pointers.
Pointers. Leffler's laws.
I have some questions and concerns about Boimler's ability to lead, because it seems like he's just sort of like it doesn't really. It's like he has no real mind of his own about things. Like he needs the pointers. He needs like a father figure or some sort of mentor to sort of like guide him through the decision-making process. Like if Mariner wasn't there, he'd be screwed. Either he'd be like out of touch with the crew that he's managing, or he'd be up a creek, not being able to solve the issue when they're taken captive.
Hopefully that's his ultimate arc this season, is he doesn't need to keep using everyone else's rules. He needs to just be, Captain Boimler and do things his own way.
I do like the learning curve of them like finding their leadership styles, but I do agree it kind of feels like Boimler is like stagnating a little bit and almost also kind of reversing after some development last season where we had, bold Boimler, and then we had him kind of like temper that back down, and it feels like he hasn't really found a happy medium yet. He keeps swinging like way too far in one direction or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bold Boimler
sure
was like a persona, like a outfit he was trying on, similar to this other alternate Boimler. I just don't see him like, okay, I'm going to own this decision and I'm going to execute it and not have to check in with everyone around me, because that's sort of what command requires.
Well, I hope at least that this particular plot line is more than just, Lower Deck saying, look, we're so meta, now we're referencing ourselves.
Not the first time they have, and in this episode, one of the best callbacks to themselves ever, the buffer time reference.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to share my comm badge?
Yes, let's share.
Sure.
Aw, they're
Bot Watt
bad.
to Windgrace. Bot Watt to Windgrace.
Where's my triple?
Hello. I also have a Stargate one, not that it works, but
Got an alternate universe one from TNG.
Oh,
ooh,
sick.
there you go.
I love these ones. I wish they'd gone with these.
Instead of the bifurcated ones from, was it Endgame?
Was that this guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing about Stargate works.
So, we got a lot of cool stuff about the Orions versus the Orions here, but we never firmly found the answer to, are the Orions a different race entirely, or just like an offshoot similar to the Einar and Andorians?
I kind of prefer that one, but I don't, it's guess it's hard to tell.
I did like that the Pirate Queen was like a weird bluish green color in between the two, sort of.
I hadn't really noticed. Interesting.
I was thinking more along the lines of like the differences between the Vulcans and Romulans, where it's like there's this one that's convinced that it's more evolved. I mean, they both are, but like when their societies are very different and there's some sort of schism between the two.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious about the genesis of those outfits.
I'm just now noticing that the Queen has a blue Orion in the back carrying her.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
So I guess they
blue
are
and
more integrated into the race.
Interesting.
what was that thing called again? The Blarg or something?
The Vraster?
Blathion or something,
Oh, yeah.
something like that.
It's like there are different sort of like shades between green and blue on the Orion side, so maybe there is some crossover.
Yeah. To be fair, my colorblind self didn't realize Tendi was an Orion in season 1. They never told us directly, and I didn't really notice the difference in face.
Interesting.
Right.
Well, from what I understand, that's why they were drawn that way in the animated series to begin with, because one of the lead animator was colorblind. So that's why he put such weird color combinations together.
Interesting.
And he
It might just be a fable, but that's what I've heard.
Well, that would explain a lot of things.
But the divide also seems to lead to cultural differences, because there's a difference between the two of them between like a matriarchy and a patriarchy. But somehow they coexist.
It's a really great point.
Well, it doesn't seem as though prior to the first episode in the season that they were aware of each other. So it does beg the question, like, what happened?
I hadn't thought about it till this episode, but I'd seen some other YouTuber talking about like them going back and forth between matriarchy and patriarchy, and that in that episode, in Those Old Scientists in Strange New Worlds, it was a male captain.
Yep.
But yet we're mostly used to like the female dominated ships and things, so that could say something that it's more cyclical.
I think the first time we saw him in Enterprise, when they tried to sell to Paul, that was just a guy. I don't think there's a woman behind that, but I could be wrong.
I don't think we saw a male captain in Enterprise when those 3 slave girls in season 4 popped up.
And they were the ones
trying to steal secrets.
Yeah.
But I don't think that captain that we saw earlier on, I don't think that was Orion. Because that's the thing about the Syndicate that I was always like, well, I mean, it works perfectly fine either way, because the Syndicate itself is made up of a whole bunch of different species. I mean, look in DS9, they invented the Orion Syndicate, never showed an Orion.
Just a bunch of humans, mostly. And the guy with the weird whiskers.
Yeah, and human-like, yep.
I think they both work, and I'm here for them to give it some more nuance and cultural stuff if they want to. I mean, it's not really been explored, so why not do it here?
And like, what if they join the Federation and the Orions don't?
That's a good question. Well, I guess it couldn't, because that would be like in TNG's Kesprit, where like half the planet wanted to join, but the other didn't. And then the Federation realized pretty quickly that it's a bad form to admit a planet that's not unified. So they're not going to admit just like one house. You could people from your house can go be in Starfleet, but...
Or maybe if they set up their own independent colony world or something.
The thing is, though, they were unified, but only in their mutual batshit craziness, which is why they were not going to be admitted to the Federation.
True.
And yeah, I would also like to see more of this, but I'm guessing it's going to drop off very sharply now that Tendi is back in Starfleet.
Yeah. I think we're going to have one more episode. We'll talk about that after we finish this. But yeah, I think we might get just a little bit more about the Orions. And that was one of the last questions I have here. Is wrapping up Tendi's storyline on Orion good or bad, being we only got 2 episodes of it? Too much, too little, not enough.
It's kind of another meta reference because this is exactly what Boimler did in the first 2 episodes of season 2. He was aboard the Titan for a couple episodes and then he was back.
I think it feels like a missed opportunity to spend more time with that, and does kind of like suck out the stakes that we got with how big a deal it was that she left in the end of last season.
Also
But
true.
at the same time, with only 8 episodes left, I'm really happy that she's reunited with the Cerritos crew. So it's like, if there were more seasons to go, I would be mad about it. I think I would want her to spend more time on Orion, but since there aren't, I'm glad she's back.
And I wonder if that was deliberate. Like if they had planned for her to be gone for 6 episodes doing her own thing and then come back for the grand, save the universe or whatever they're going to do. But they shunted her back in when they realized this is it. And they wanted to keep her with her friends as much as possible.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. It all feels a little bit rushed, unfortunately. It was still fun what we got, but
I was really hoping for Tendi, because I thought the intention was for Tendi to assist with bringing the Orions in as an ally to Starfleet and the Federation. And it sounded like towards the end when they got that money from the newly folded in planet and gave it to Tendi's family, that was a step in that direction. But like that was the only step in that direction that I saw in those 2 episodes for that purpose. So it's like it's a letdown in that way. Like I wanted more world building, solidify that world building allyship, and we're just putting a stop to that because whatever.
I did like the resolution when she came back. I liked the reunion. It got me a little bit.
Tula destroying the shuttle! So cute!
Not only that, she drew herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite things. I love T'Lyn, just in general in this, and like how nonchalantly deadpan humor she is, and like, yep, I did it, and she just like drops the thing. And
How did everybody feel about that race that they had? Did they?
Oh yeah.
yeah, it
existed. It looked pretty. I don't,
Yeah,
I liked the pirate aesthetic.
I like that they didn't copy the Bajoran ships just for a callback there, so that was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I like the solar sails and I like the design of them, but it definitely, it felt a little silly and a little rushed, and I think it just left a lot to be desired. But it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, look at those things. Like, look at the sails. Like, the Orion, the Pirate Queen. She obviously knows they haven't done this for like centuries. Like, why is this the way they settle their?
Yeah, it's so random.
Or are they fighting to the death?
Yeah, like you'd expect a duel or something. Like a race feels very weird for like this intense pirate culture for sure.
Like a knife throwing gauntlet.
Like last season, Tendi was talking about like when people get like haze on Orion, how do they settle their differences? Blindfolded saber fight.
Fuck
yeah.
Oh my!
That's an excellent point. Where's my blindfolded saber fight? Lower decks.
Episode 8, hopefully. I don't know. I did like they used the TOS era photon torpedo sound on those ships.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting for like a handheld kind of harpoon gun kind of thing. It
Yeah.
sounds like a photon torpedo.
I always like when they integrate sort of analog sailing or submarine warfare type strategy into episodes and everything. I just felt like the stakes were sort of poorly established because Tendi broke pirate code, and so they're doing this race so that someone's assets can be seized if one person loses. Like that just seems very like unnecessary. Like why does the Orion Syndicate or the Orion Society need to be involved in this at all? I don't understand.
Yeah, if it's a money thing, you'd think they'd just find them both and be done with it.
Yeah, I admit I didn't think about it being like a hey pirates and sailing ships thing until I watched Trek Culture's breakdown and they were like, yeah, that. Oh, yeah, okay, that makes more sense now. But it's still pretty meh. It's like everything in Lower Decks, it's serviceable. This is another one I don't have anything bad to say about, but it's there.
Well, you did have a good G to say about it.
How did everybody think about Tendi going through her sister's diary to find out that she's pregnant?
That was wild, very invasive, and no consequences whatsoever for it. Also, I thought it was kind of weird. Like, I get that it was supposed to be like really sweet and touching for her to be super protective of her sister, but I think it's kind of weird as a scientist and like a doctor, as she said, to be like infantilizing a pregnant woman that way, especially because like to Erica, like their culture is one where like people are born during saber battles. Like it felt kind of like, I don't know, like well-meaning, but the like subtext felt kind of strange to me.
Also, Tendi would be aware of that. She's not unaware of her own culture. So what is she getting her sister's face for? And assuming that she knows what's best for her and saying, oh, you should lay down, and even attempting a mutiny.
Yeah, a mutiny. It felt weirdly misogynistic. I was just like, what is happening here? Like it's like I get what they were going for, which was like the sweet protective sister bond. I get it. It just felt like kind of a denial of Erica's agency that I think feels out of character for Tendi. I feel like Tendi would be like advocating for her right to do what she wants.
It does feel like they reached too far for a joke here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that Devon is not taking care of herself, that she's not acting in her own unborn's best interests by being in this race. That's assuming a lot.
Yeah, she knows she's pirating for two.
Yeah. Like
it's certainly very Orion.
Orion.
But this does raise the question. I've been wondering, now that we know this, how are they passing titles on in Orion Society? Tendi is the mistress of the Winter Constellations.
Mm-hmm.
But
it is weird that her sibling's baby gets the title.
I would guess it's like the first female child in the generation.
Oh, that makes sense.
That would be my guess.
Oh my gosh. Can't believe I didn't see that.
Rutherford hasn't stepped up yet, so.
And another thing that didn't make sense to me was like, how does keeping Tendi ignorant of this pregnancy absolve her of the responsibility of training her to be the next mistress? What was the purpose in concealing that? I mean, it's none of her freaking business. That I understand, but like, how does that like remove that duty?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that like if she doesn't know that she's shirking her duty.
Good point, Robbie.
So like if she were to get in trouble, she could just be like, "Well, I didn't know." But like, yeah, it also just seemed kind of weird, especially because at the end she's just like, "Okay, you can leave. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Nothing. Literally, no consequences will happen."
Robbie
you should get pointers from King Boimler.
Yeah, they really took that in stride. Although I guess with the I was wondering if they were like just trying to play at it to placate the kids and not make them feel bad, or if I don't know, the assassins really were that stressful.
I think I saw somebody try to explain it away as yeah, they lost all their money, but they still, they're still a powerful house in the syndicate, and I guess they can just make more, which is kind of what happened at the end because they got all the treasure from Targalis.
Right, they can just pirate more.
And apparently it got the Blue Orions to work for them now.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they can just pirate more, then what's at stake at all by losing, Or winning?
Literally nothing.
Status, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like both of these episodes, the big problem was that the stakes were not very stakey. They were stakeless stakes.
Right, Mariner got sort of switched around, but that was only towards the end. I think some of the worst TNG episodes do that, where they just sort of shove in stakes at the very end to make it matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But snakes don't eat snakes.
Yeah. I've noticed that watching my way through DS9, when they put in stuff that is obvious filler, it is way more obvious on that show for some reason.
So the only other question I had for this episode as we hit the 1 hour mark, why did Billup's family force a dragon on him, and will the dragon cause problems later?
They're just going to create a dragon ops.
Yeah.
It was such a random sight gag, but it is pretty substantial that he just was gifted a dragon out of nowhere, and you don't see the dragon, but you do see him being burned alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'm definitely of two mindsets on this one. The joke itself lands, it's pretty funny, but yeah, it's just completely unconnected to anything going on. And you have to wonder if it was just all right, well, this is a joke we've had in the Writer's Room Bible since season 1, and we just didn't quite know where to put it and make a larger narrative about it. So we're just going to throw it in here since it's the last season.
That sounds very season 17 G, where they just had all these crazy ideas and they just did them all at the very end. Maybe. Yeah. I would hope that they would weave it in a bit better, but maybe it's just that one joke and that's it.
I could see a few other random jokes in other episodes. Maybe someone walks around a corner and oh my God, there's a dragon in here.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Robbie. I mean, but that's also kind of the show's stick. They get into the not quite universe ending problems, but the minor annoyances of the universe.
I actually almost fell for them killing those two ensigns. I thought they were actually going to keep it. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that would have actually made the episode better, honestly. It would have been kind of upsetting for sure, but that would have been a huge turning point for Boimler, especially because even though it wasn't really his fault. So I think for him learning to process some losing people under his command would have been a really interesting journey for him to have for this last season, and come out of the other side more mature and ready for command roles. But then they, of course, renege on it by having them fake it with the coma bug, which is, it's fine. I'm not mad at it. It just felt like another one of those little missed opportunities.
I thought that Boimler had that development last season. I thought we had an episode where he did, in fact, during a mission, lose some folks and have to process that. But
it was him, though. He was the one that died.
No, he was the one that was lost. He climbed the Black Mountain.
It was Vexilon.
Honestly, I feel like they didn't do enough with that either.
Somebody has to climb the Black Mountain this season, absolutely and truly. I'd actually be really upset if there isn't a whole plot line that revolves around the Great Koala in some way, shape, or form.
It'll have to. Or do you think Badgie is going to descend one final time or something?
I hope so. I really like that cover. I don't know what it's about, but I like the cover of that comic that's either out or coming out. It's got Badgie and Moopsy. Whatever it is, I'm there for it. I'm so freaking there for that.
Boopsy crossover.
Wow. How do you?
All right. So let's give this guy an out of 10 before we have just a little wrap-up question for the whole thing. I'm only a 5 on this guy. It's, again, serviceable. I have no dislikes, particularly. Some minor annoyances, and just, like, even less that I like about it, though. It's okay. It's there. Go ahead, Ren.
Yeah, I think I'd give it like a 6. I think I liked parts of it better than I liked the premiere, but overall it just doesn't quite have the stakes it needs, and I think it doesn't do enough with the characters to really make me say wow. But it's not bad. It's an enjoyable episode. It has funny jokes, and I always love seeing the Lower Decks crew do literally anything. So it's fine.
Oh, I'm up here now. I actually think I might have liked this just slightly less than the first episode, but they're fairly comparable. So I'd probably give this a 6 for just it didn't stand out above like the greats of the series, but didn't do much wrong, I guess, either.
I am going to give this one a 6 as opposed to a 5. Just like the previous episode, it is perfectly serviceable, not particularly good or bad. Things were there, I guess, but I bump it up 1 point because it showed a planet joyously celebrating the end of capitalism, and that isn't happening soon enough in real life.
I am also of like a 6. I feel like this one's a bit more fleshed out.
Vanessa, you're muted.
We lost your audio there.
Or I am. I don't know.
Or hold on.
I hear you guys.
Try now, Vanessa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. I'm also of the mind of a 6 being a suitable score for this episode. I feel like it does have its flaws. I don't really understand why the rich people would be kidnapping anybody or like feel like it's necessary to break off and be a faction unto themselves. I don't really understand why taking money from pirates when they can just steal more booty is like a stake worth exploring. But I do enjoy, like Scott mentioned, planet sort of ditching capitalism and joining the Federation. I actually did like the tie-dye bug. I thought that was kind of clever. But the stakes aren't stakey enough. And I feel like the Orion arc ended far too quickly. So yeah, a 6.
All right, so I'm ready to go get steaks and Oreos for dinner.
I'm just trying to get the average here. I'm just going to call the average a. Oh wow, no, it's less than
That's
that.
a little over 6. That's somewhere between 6 and 7. I think 6.5.
Though I'm at a 5, so it's still right around. Yeah, it's probably like a 6.1, something like that. I'm not even going to finish the average. To heck with that.
We know.
Robbie had something to say about it. Felt like it had less impact because of muddled character dynamics and deflated payoffs. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that. What I will say positive about it, I did like that dynamic between this second episode of the final season and the second episode of season 1, Envoys, where it's like Boimler and Mariner, they have grown in different ways, completely apart, but they have grown. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, where are they? We have the episode titles for the rest of the season. We're going to go through the rest of these and just talk about what we think they're going to be about. So next week, our episode is The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel.
The Borger on Ryza. That's my guy.
Uh, maybe it's going to be those nanites that Wesley buggered everything up with.
Oh my gosh.
That's what
they
I was
finally
wondering.
their own planet and everything. Yeah.
Oh,
Or
yeah, that's
whole-
right. They gave them their own planet.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
What's the name of the movie this is parodying? I can't remember.
Best
now.
Exotic Marigold Hotel.
Mara. I don't know if
Yeah.
it's going to have any
Wes
relation to that or
Anderson
not.
movie. Oh, you think they'd animate it to look more like a Wes Anderson movie?
Oh, maybe. That'd be interesting.
Ooh.
Or
I
they
didn't
or
even
they
realize
read a
this
book.
was a callback. That's pretty cool.
Well, just like Parth Ferengi, that was a title that had no real connection, so it might just be a clever title.
All right. So, a farewell to farms. Do you think we're going to go back to the Federation farm, like with the dog and stuff?
Oh, yeah, that guy.
I first thought it was Boimler losing his family's raisin farm.
Or like the
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
or like the beginning of the first episode of Voyager when they're on that farm, that hollow farm.
Oh yeah.
Banjo Man.
Which one?
I like the title.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that might relate to like a farewell to arms, and I'm
Oh
not
my
connecting
gosh.
anything.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
the titles are vague enough where it's like it does kind of keep you guessing, except for maybe fully dilated as to what it's about.
Do any of these come with little like snippets or anything, or is it literally just the titles?
Just the title, as far as I
Okay.
know.
Mm.
So yeah, so Starbase 80. I mean, we've seen some people from it. We've seen some looks inside it where some idiots are trying to catch a Pyrithian bat. Do you think we're gonna like go there? Do you think somebody from the crew is gonna get sent there? Like maybe Captain Freeman?
Well, we did have Pyrithian bat milk in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Or at least if they do go there, maybe she'll constantly be second guessing herself.
It could be like a whole episode that takes place there.
Oh, and I like Norman's thought here. Alternate Freeman
Yeah,
appears.
alternate Freeman. That's what I'm curious
Oh.
about. Like that whole thing in the first episode that didn't have any payoff. I hope it has it here in Starbase 80. Like they
think,
just
yeah.
kept saying, "Where's Freeman? Where am I?" And they just sort of leave that alone.
As long as we also get the answer to where Prime Universe Lorca is, because I am still waiting for an answer.
Boy.
Oh,
And
I
then
didn't
we-
even realize. Yeah, it has a question mark at the end.
Yeah.
Also, why is
Okay.
it 2 words? I swear they always they don't say it. Obviously, they can't say it to make it sound like it's 1 word or 2, but it like in
That's
Captain, it's always
interesting.
written as like
Yeah.
Starbase.
Is
Like in
Starbase normally?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess to me that could mean one of two things. That either means Paramount fucked up again, no
No.
Cerrito,
Très
or
possibly.
or this plays into the idea of like alternate Captain Freeman. Maybe in that universe they separate the word star and base.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. It's
That's a-
0.7%. Remarkable.
And so episode 6 is a play on a Star Trek title of Gods and Angels. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, not exactly a Star Trek title, but a fan movie title. The Star Trek of Gods and Men, which is produced by Tim Russ, Tuvok, and had a bunch of people in it. That was as far as like fan made projects, that may be the best like full length movie that's ever
That's
been
the one
done.
that had Harriman actually as
Harriman,
a real
yeah.
character, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I did see that.
What is it?
This could be the Koala and Badgie coming back, I guess.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Angel though.
The only thing that comes to
Communicates
mind
with the prophets
one.
and the koala. Oh, yeah. I want to find out that the koala lives in the temple.
Koala's in his holy temple.
He's just one of the prophets.
The wormhole aliens and their pet koala.
The Koala's not linear.
True.
It's not linear. And yeah, we've already alluded to the next one several times. Fully dilated. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious we're going to go back to Orion. I wonder if we lose Tendi for good
I
at that
think-
point.
I'll put this out here right now. My theory on this: things will also get wibbly wobbly because there's such a thing as time dilation.
Oh,
Right.
I could see that. Or these rifts or whatever are fully
Oh,
open.
right.
They're fully dilated.
Yeah, so maybe that's where we finally get the whatever the heck's going on with all those Harry Kims in a room.
Yeah.
Because Shades of Green definitely applied to more than one thing, so they're good at multiple implication titles.
Yeah, it's in no way a clip show.
Right.
So next we have Upper Decks. I mean, I would like to think it's probably we're just gonna follow the main cast on the ship. We're gonna follow Freeman and Ransom and Shax.
I'd like to think there's also like a wage dues situation where you see the upper decks of other ships, possibly not other species because we might not know the difference, but like other Federation ships, like other Starfleet ships.
Possibly.
Cool.
Or I'm wondering maybe, yeah, if it is our lower deckers who have to take command because all of the actual people in charge gets swooped away or something. I don't know.
Brad,
Taken into rift.
Well, they're not living lower decks anymore. Like the title is sort of the title of the show is a bit of a misnomer because they did get bumped up to quarters.
Unless it's relating to the baseball cards and it's just a Buck Bokai episode.
I just realized, Ren, I had turned your volume all the way down before we started this because you got some weird fan
Feedback
noise
happening.
going on. Did you say anything in there about any of these and we just missed it?
Nothing super exciting, honestly. I just asked if we think we've seen the last of Peanut Hamper because I was wondering if maybe she'll show up again.
Maybe the Nanite episode? I don't know.
Yeah,
That would make
or in
sense.
or maybe even in the Angels and Gods episodes, or of Gods and Angels, if that one's got some of the older high stakes lower decks villains. I think it'd be fun to see Peanut Hamper again.
I think you've got to bring them back one more time, even if it's just like a single scene somewhere.
Little cameo.
You do need an actually rehabilitated Agamus.
Where did
Yeah,
we
I think
end?
I could do without Agamus.
Did Agamus get put back in the computer room at the end of his
Yes.
last appearance? Okay.
Agamus and the CBS bot take over everything.
I don't know. He might have made actual progress with was Lord Tyrannicus.
I've deleted Prodigy.
Oh god, that would be an awesomely meta joke. And then, okay, so the next one is probably the weirdest and hardest to figure out. Fishu Quest?
That has to be a typo.
What?
Maybe it involves a fisher?
Yeah.
Some kind of subspace fisher?
Request. Does that mean something?
I don't know.
I have no idea what, like, Tissue Quest could be, and that's the only thing that rhymes with that.
Yeah, I can't, but I just Googled Tissue Quest and it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, I have no idea. Some
Yeah.
kind of subspace anomaly, I bet.
Oh, well, tissue test is a thing.
Oh, okay,
But I
interesting.
mean, I don't know.
All right.
Oh.
I'm
Or
gonna go with I think this is
someone's
misspelled.
butt gets injured. I don't know.
Or they go to an alternate dimension through a fissure and it's basically Galaxy Quest.
The only person's butt who could be injured, it would have to be Steve Stevens. Which I'm kind of surprised he was the only one of the like recurring characters that we didn't see have like a mirror universe of themselves this week.
We saw Miratel guy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Was there another Levy?
No, I don't think we saw Levy.
Two of them. Oh my gosh.
I was kind of waiting to see a God, what is it? Fletcher from season 1. I think it would have been awesome to see Fletcher's actually like the smart one in this universe, and he stuck around on the Cerritos because he didn't do something stupid.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
I got freaking fired.
Or they should have had one of the characters that was Tuvixed still combined.
We already did that last
We
season.
put everyone back to normal. One of them just wanted to stay that way.
They couldn't fix the first mix.
Ooh.
And then there's just the final episode, the new Next Generation.
Jump into the future. Betcha.
Yeah, I think
Oh, yeah.
something, whether it's going to be time shenanigans or whether we're just going to jump 10 years to the future, I'm making the prediction that we are going to see a Captain Boimler this season.
Do you think they're going to do multiple timelines like an All Good Things reference, or?
Ooh. Oh wow.
That seems like a
Left,
possibility.
Rob left a comment about how maybe it's the lower deckers manning the Enterprise.
And we're back.
Aru!
Justin, I
Andy.
think you're muted.
Streamlabs is a very fickle thing, and it does weird stuff sometimes. This is why it's half the price of all the other streaming services.
About the two-parter thing, I am hoping it's at least a double-length episode. Or slightly
Yeah.
something.
And they keep teasing us with the idea that this might not be the last time.
Whoop.
Make up your
Stop
mind.
doing.
It's the last time for Dustin. Oh, no.
What the hell? It's trying to tell us that we are way over our time here. I think everybody's back on the stream. Forget the cambot, because I think we're done here, unless anybody has any final thoughts on these episodes.
You're the cambot now.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wow. It did. It juxtaposed me. We're in an alternate universe. We just jumped universes. Everything is 1% different now. I'm on the bottom. I'm cambot.
My hat sideways.
Somewhere.
All right. I think that is a sign that we need to get out of here before the temporal fissures eat us alive. So, join us back here next week where maybe stuff will work right. Maybe it won't. We don't know. But I'd like to thank all of you guys that came here and did the show with me today. You are wonderful co-hosts. And to all of you that tuned in for our nonsense. So, until next time,